folks like us in the middle wondering what are those regulations going to be, when are they going to come, and what are we supposed to design or build to. So in the interim, we do hire engineering firms. We've got an engineering firm looking right now at the next 5 years in terms of our boilers, looking at what will need to be repaired, what would need to be replaced, what would need to be lightly triggered under new environmental regulations, all of which to get ourselves prepared to deal with what we still aren't certain what it will be. So when people say, you just need to switch to something or you need to put this on your plans, I say, to what standard? To what design issue? If I knew that, you can move forward easier. All of which said to me, back to the pie chart, if our coal-burning plants are the minority of our greenhouse gases, and I think we should deal with greenhouse gases as an institution, I think we should deal with it as a state, I think we should deal with greenhouse gases as a country. So where do you focus? To me, the answer was always you focus on the 65%, which is electrical use. So what we did, we did a $25 million energy conservation contract. We retrofitted roughly 61 buildings, as I remember, changed out the lights, changed out air handlers. We retrofitted some of our substations in terms of how we deal with peak. We did some work at our chilling plants to save energy. We did work on low-flow toilets, low-flow urinals, all of which was designed to save energy, to save money, and bottom line, keep the cost of education hopefully reasonable. We are a major piece of, or a significant piece of tuition and costs here in the UK. So, actually, this is where I was going to turn it over to Shane.
Almost back up and running.
Because I wanted to show what we did, which was the next phase. We went out and did this $25 million project. Let me back up one notch. I get a lot of emails a day that have a phrase in it that you should do. You should do this. You should do that. Some of them take about 2 or 3 paragraphs just to call me a knucklehead, but generally they're giving me advice about what they think we or I should do as an institution. Well, with the $25 million ESCO, we did it as an institution. We did some things that we can do to save energy, to reduce our carbon footprint. Now the question is, what are you going to do? So I can send out these emails. What will you do tomorrow? What will you do tonight? And Shane did a project which we call Empowered. And the theory there is that if we tell people all the facts of our energy use, all the facts of our energy production, all the facts of what we do here as an institution, that given facts, people will respond positively and affect change. So what we show on this, as Shane brings it up, is what energy use looks like in a residence hall, what it looks like in an office building or office, what it looks like in a laboratory, and let individual people turn off all these power-using devices. The one that usually strikes fear is when I point out the space heaters that everybody seems to love, and the cost of those on an office building and how it drives up the cost of our institutional use of electricity. Our president was amazed at the cost of a fume hood when he actually looked at it on a monthly basis. But again, it was designed to kind of get at the question of what you can do now, because we think we have done a major effort to reduce our own electrical use as an institution. So while Shane's doing that, why don't we kind of do some questions or tell me what you think further. I should do. I'm open to that too. So, yeah.
I just have a question about the pie chart. So that data was from 2007. About how often do you guys conduct an analysis of the university's carbon footprint?
We used 2007.
This one's 2010. Okay. So this one's different.
Yeah. We do have greenhouse gas emissions on our utilities annually.
We have to report that now under one of the EPA's rules that we're adopting.
A lot of the smaller pieces of that pie, like air travel miles and fleet mileage and
commuter
mileage, the EPA doesn't require that on an annual basis, and it's a little bit more intense of a data gathering process. So probably every 3 to 4 years on the full, what in the climate world, Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 emissions. Scope 1 being what you burn on campus, Scope 2 being what's generated, what's burned by the power you're purchasing, and then Scope 3 being all those associated emissions like air travel and commuting.
Part of it was designed to develop some baselines that we could compare our progress to as well. Others? Yeah.
How much money are you expecting to save with the $25 million retrofit project?
2,420,000 annual. But that, the reason for that is because our bond, we issued a bond of $25 million, and the annual cost of that bond is about $2.3 million is what we have to pay back every year for that amount of money. And the energy savings companies guaranteed us they would earn at least $2.4 million. So we had a positive cash flow year one. My theory was if we always could make it work in year one, we were good to go for the rest of the term. To me, it was not so much that we were going to save money to the bottom line, but as those utility rates keep rising, the avoided costs become huge annually. They're real. You know, accountants don't like to book them because what do you book them? Costs you didn't spend.
Right.
But they're real. So that's what interests me as much as anything going forward. Yeah.
With regard to the uncertainty, would a alternative energy feasibility study work? I know that that's an option that a lot of other schools have explored. Ball State did one 10 years ago, and now they're converting their campus to geothermal. It's a different potential, but still, as an institution doing a feasibility study, would that be an option?
Two things. I went to Ball State with two of the students that were promoting the feasibility study. We went to Ball State in early December and saw the setup. Ball State is about a third the size of our square footage. They also have a lot of green areas to do wells in. It was a fantastic system up there. I was very impressed with what they'd done. In fact, sent another group of our engineers up to see it this week because our new residence halls are talking using geothermal. So to say we need to do all or nothing, or to do pieces of our campus, I think there will be pieces of our campus that we do put on alternative. In terms of feasibility, what we're conducting now is an engineering analysis just of our existing and what we expect the life expectancy of some of our boilers. So we're starting to develop some baseline data before we have somebody to tell us what we could do. But we're moving on. Yes?
As the cost of coal continues to decline, it's projected to continue to decline as well, and if some of our sustainability initiatives carry through and we also lower consumption, what do you guys plan to do with the increased space in the budget? If you're not buying as much coal and we're not using as much power, then there should leave some room.
I started here 9 years ago, and our utility budget was about $26, $27 million a year. It's now $54, $55 million a year. I don't see it decreasing. What I do think will happen is by saving, we will prevent it from going up as fast as it has been. And I don't see us actually getting less from the central campus budget. I may not have to ask for as much. Yes?
Has the university looked into methane collections out on the livestock farms? Or,
I don't know. I've not heard of it. We don't have a lot of livestock in Fayette County. We have more livestock out in Woodford County, as I recall. I don't know if they've looked at that or not. Your Center for Applied Energy Research does a lot of the more alternative energy research that we're doing. Rodney Andrews and I out there, we were talking today about some other pilots we might do together. So we're interested in working on that. We did a grant request with CAER, with John, was it a year ago, for essentially working on how we could work with the grid system and possibly do some savings that way. We didn't get funded, but it was
That was the smart
grid.
Smart grid concept.
So again, we do focus on, at least in the last 2 to 3 years, primarily on our electric demand and electric costs and electric issues. This side of the room has to ask a question. Okay.
On the tour yesterday, we had a fact sheet. We saw that the coal plant employs 51 people. They burn so much coal, and it's pretty mechanical. We use steam to drive the fans and things like that. But between the price of electricity, the price of coal, and the cost of labor, what accounts for the majority cost to run the coal plants?
I would say it's the cost of fuel, not labor.
I'm sure it varies.
We have central chilling plants, which are essentially huge electric demands. Air conditioning is a huge issue here in Lexington. I always thought that our 10% of dorm rooms that were un-air-conditioned was a sustainable statement of ours, but people wanted us to finally put in air conditioners, which we did. But labor is not the biggest element of that. It's the cost of the fuel. We spend, John, correct me, about $4 million in coal and about $4 million in natural gas, more or less, a year.
I think the coal is a little bit less than natural gas.
So that's the big bulk of it, plus the electric costs that we pay to run our chiller system is the bulk of it. Employees are not that piece.
So where do the majority of the employees work, in the coal plant or chillers?
It takes about 16 people to run a two-man shift, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we have on campus two coal-fired plants and 3 chilling plants.
And a natural gas plant.
Natural gas plant.
Is your question more about where the 1,000 people that work?
No,
in the
I know the
facilities
majority
work?
of them are probably for the grounds. I was just wondering,
No,
like if
custodial
we
primarily.
switch to natural
Picking up all
gas,
these things later. Custodial.
if we switch to natural gas or something like that, what would be the reflected employment?
Labor savings would be that there wouldn't be any labor savings.
Okay, so you would
When
employ
you've
just as
got
many
a coal
people.
plant or
Okay.
It's just this fuel change.
we still have manpower firm.
And as I say, we are sensitive to price now, so I mean, we don't just burn coal because, for political reasons, we burn our fuels based on cost efficiency.
We are operating an unmanned chilling plant right now. We've got 7,500 tons of cooling that we operate remotely.
Yeah, we are, Central Kentucky is an interesting location. It gets the worst of all weather. And our biggest nightmares, oddly enough, at least with complaints, tend to be when you have a very warm day like we're going to have tomorrow, and we can't produce enough chilled water because we pretty well closed that down for the season. And the complaints from the hospital and med center should start rolling in about 10 in the morning or 9 in the morning tomorrow as the temperature rises.
Hospitals should complain, but they do get chilling.
We do get that.
Life safety or patient safety, health service.
One other thing we do, and I think some of you all may have taken a tour, and there may be a video in here, is of our Delta room. We have a 24-hour manned room, which is in the Peterson building, that controls the central energy use on campus. And so we bring the building down at it will vary, but we bring the building down in cooling and heating at 7. We don't bring it back up in the morning until 7. So we reduce demand during the nights when they're not used. We can turn on fans remotely. We can control the president's office if he's hot or cold from right in that office. So we do a lot of aggressive management of central demand. Let me show you the other thing, which is the what can you all do question, and we'll let Shane roll through this. We went live on this a week or 2 ago.
2 weeks ago today.
Probably one of the best in the country. I think Harvard's talking to some of our designers about this. So run through